onto body paragraphs. So we are on page 9. So we went over the writing process yesterday and all of the basics. So today, I would like to go over body paragraphs. So what goes in a body paragraph and in what order? So it gives you right there. And what I would like to also clarify here is that I would like you to use this format even whenever I ask you to write just one paragraph, because it's really important to put all of these topics into a paragraph, so that way it is stable and you can get the most out of it. Body paragraph is also the middle paragraphs in an essay. So what goes in a body paragraph and in what order? So you get the topic sentence, and then you go on to just give some context. So your point that you are going to make in the paragraph, and then you give evidence, which is either quotations, paraphrased evidence, citations, that sort of thing. And then you analyze it. So then you have a couple sentences just explaining it and analyzing what you just put out there as evidence. And then you either have a concluding sentence or a transition sentence. A concluding sentence if it's just one paragraph that you're writing, but a transition sentence if you're going into another paragraph. So follow this recipe for any paragraph that you write. I have a couple notes in there for you to go over as well. So, general context rules. So, topic sentence. So this is a sentence that introduces a paragraph by presenting the one topic that will be the focus of the paragraph. This also is what you can fill in at the bottom half of page 9. Topic sentences do. So they always answer the prompt or they connect to the thesis. And then you introduce the argument that you're going to make about that certain point, and you include support with it. So again, it's kind of like a mini thesis. You're just kind of mapping out what this paragraph is going to be talking about. What they do not do is you never ask a question with a topic sentence. You might have learned that in the past as a way to hook the reader, but as a topic sentence, you never would like to do this. You are telling the reader what they're going to be reading about. Do not include a quotation in the first part, and do not include a plot summary. Act like your readers already kind of know what's going on in the plot, because a lot of writers like to just rewrite the plot, and that's their paper, and there's no analysis. So there's really no integrity to the paragraph. But you don't want to include a quotation because that's going to come later. So if you need to pause and fill in, you may right now. All right, so general context clues. I also give you some general topic sentence frames here. So you state your argument because, and then you give some support and kind of your analysis. You give an example, and then you say shows the argument. So again, it's like a thesis statement, which I will be going over in more depth in the next video, I believe. You always want to have strong verbs in your topic sentence, because if you don't, your argument is not going to be shown. So, context. It always comes before the quotation, and it always explains the basic background / situation of the quote. So this is where you might want to put in a little bit of detail about the plot, but not the entire thing. It also introduces the speaker, the audience, and or the situation of the quote. So this can include the tone or how the quotation is set. It does not include opinion or analysis yet. And it does not provide unnecessary plot summary, like I said. So whenever I say it could include the tone, you could give a little bit of background and say that the author feels a certain way. We went over author's purpose a couple weeks ago. We also went over mood a couple weeks ago. So what is being conveyed? You want to give that kind of background information. And like I said, do not include your opinion or analysis yet. You're just setting it up so that way you can give your evidence. Again, you can pause if you need to fill this in. This is on page 10. All right, so this is where we are going to talk about evidence and quotes. So for the A Rose for Emily exercise, I had you use direct quotes. So this is how these should be set up in a paper or a paragraph. So if you're going to paraphrase your evidence, which means that you're not going to take it directly from the paper, what you're going to do is you're going to want to use facts from the text paraphrased in your own words. So you're going to read a paragraph and then paraphrase it. You're going to use paraphrased evidence to support the thesis or topic sentence. And again, this is no opinion or analysis. It's like you are just paraphrasing, which means that you're just taking what the author said in the original text that you're looking at and you're rephrasing it. And again, you're not giving plot summary. You're just explaining the specific situation that you are talking about in your paper. Direct quotations are copied exactly as they appear in the text. They are chosen carefully to support your idea. So make sure that it correlates with the point that you are talking about, or else your evidence is going to have no impact on the reader. Always provide context first. So tell who's saying it. So if it's a character in a story, you might say the character so-and-so says, and then you write your quote. And you always integrate into the sentence. And always use MLA format. So we're going to go over that today as well. Again, copy if you need to. So this is what you are usually going to use in a paper. That's why it's number one. This is what I would prefer you to use. So quote integration method using an introductory phrase plus a comma or speaker plus verb plus a comma. So this is also known as the ICE method because you introduce, you cite, and then you put the evidence. So right here it says begin with the speaker of the quote followed by a verb like says or states or exclaims. Then possibly the audience or receiver of the quote, followed by a comma, and finally add in the quote and citation. So Will said, I'm using this example from the novel Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, which we read an excerpt of in the very, very beginning of the year. So Will is the main character, says during his grief, comma. So right here, I begin with the speaker, and then I followed it with a verb, says, and then I kind of give a little bit of background information here. And then I put the quote. So I put the quotations, and then I say the quote exactly from the book. The ground definitely felt like it opened up and ate me. Then I close the quote with these quotation marks. And then what you do is you put parentheses, the author's last name. So Jason Reynolds wrote this, so that's why I put his last name. And then the page number. No extra punctuation in here. You close the parentheses, and then the period goes after. So you do not put the period after the quote, you put it after the citation. This is the most used method just because it's very easy. There's one other way that you can do this. So you can flow or weave the quote into it. So this is basically whenever you just weave your quotation into the sentence, into your sentence, which is your own words, so that it flows naturally. Without looking, you would not know there was quotation marks. So watch out for your pronouns, though. So I use another example from Long Way Down. I said, Will understands that there are many altercations in his neighborhood and that beef gets passed down often in his neighborhood. So beef gets passed down. If I did not have the quotation marks there, you would have no idea it was a direct quote. But I'm using this direct quote to put more emphasis that this is actually what Jason Reynolds said in his novel. Again, though, you just wait until the end of your sentence and then you put your citation. So following the same rule. You put a parenthesis, the author's last name, the page number, close the parenthesis, put your period. Here are just some basic rules for MLA citation. So say all quotations using parenthetical citations, which is what the parentheses are for. Always cite at the end of the sentence. You never put it directly after the quote unless you are done talking in your sentence. You have to punctuate it correctly, so put the period after the parentheses and include the appropriate information and make sure it is accurate. So basically, what you're doing, we're now on page 12. If you need to fill in these, just follow these rules whenever you are using a direct quote and you will be golden. All right, so here's an example of a properly integrated quote using context and MLA citation. So, although Will is enraged that his brother was killed, he still thought to himself, I also felt guilty for waking up. Jason Reynolds wrote this, so again, Reynolds 63. So here you can see that I say the speaker, I say that he's enraged, and then I give the verb, so he thought this to himself. I also felt guilty, so this is the direct quote right here. And you can see there's no punctuation except for the quotation marks, and then the parentheses, and then the period. Okay, so then after you give some evidence in your paragraph, what you want to do is you want to move on to the next step, which is analysis. So what is analysis? We are now on page 13, so we're at the top of this page. And it says Merriam-Webster defines analyze as to study something closely and carefully, to learn the nature and relationship of the parts of something by a close and careful examination. This was one of our vocab words, so you should be kind of familiar with that. So in English class, analysis is the part of your paragraph where you explain how your evidence supports your argument. So you're giving your reasoning here. Analysis has two basic parts to it. You explain the quote, so why it's important to your point, and then you connect your quotation to your overall argument. So basically, you're just explaining why you chose that. Why is it connecting to the point that you made? And then at the bottom of page 13, you're going to see a little triangle, and it's just kind of giving you step by step and which level you should be at, deeper levels of textual analysis. So like I said, analysis is a major English class word that you will hear, see, and say 100 times this year and beyond. Analysis is the part of the essay that students most often skimp on. Don't skimp on analysis. It's the most important part. And then you end your body paragraph with either a conclusion sentence or a transition sentence. So we are now on page 14, and there's two little boxes, so go ahead and pause if you need to fill these in. But what you do is, in a conclusion sentence, is you neatly summarize the main idea of the paragraph. You include the topic/argument and support. It's very similar to a topic sentence. But do not introduce any new ideas. This is for if I would ask you to write one paragraph explaining the relationship between two characters.
Good morning, teachers. The staff meeting will be held virtually today. We will not be meeting in the presentation studio.
Sorry about that, guys. That's the problem with filming. Okay. So transition sentences, though. This is whenever you're writing a full-blown essay. What you're going to use with transition sentences is it's going to smoothly transition and connect the main idea of one paragraph to the main idea of the next paragraph. So you include the topic and support of that paragraph, but then you include the topic and argument of the next paragraph as well. Okay, that's all for body paragraphs. The next video will be on thesis statements, okay? All right.